Hello, everybody. I wanted to take a moment to go over this assignment that I am creating. For this assignment, you're going to be asked to visit this link. And in this link, you can search for childcare in your local area. So I live in Midlothian, Texas, so I am going to put Midlothian into my city. If you have a specific licensed childcare you want to search for, you can search for that. It does not have to be one in your local area. If you know someone in Houston and you want to look up their childcare center, that is fine. It does have to be in Texas, though. That's the only requirement. Okay, hold on. That did not work, so I'm going to go back to the search. Okay, and I'm going to just put in my zip code because there are childcares in our local area. Okay, so these are all the childcares that come up for Ellis County. And most are, you can see they're a combination of Midlothian and Grand Prairie and some other things. So I'm going to choose one that I'm familiar with. I would choose this Pillars Christian Learning, but it just went in it just became a childcare. So they may not have the history. So that's another thing to consider. Like you wouldn't want to choose a newer one. I am going to choose. Let's see. Trying to look for Firehouse Kids. It's down the street from me. Okay. So this is Firehouse Kids. You're going to find all the information of where they're at. They actually have multiple programs, so their mailing address isn't the same as their location address, so that's one of the reasons. This will give us all the information on their backgrounds, but this is the main pieces that you want for this. But just to go over this website, you get their operation numbers, their basic information. If they have a website, sometimes you can find the email address. They'll have an administrator email address here. Hours of operations, etc., kind of what they have. So you can see that in the last 5 years, they have had 13 inspections and 1 report. If they had a self-report, that means someone that they reported something, an incident that happened at their center. And if they have a report, that means somebody else has actually reported something. So you can see they had an individual standards that was evaluated and they had 2 violations come out of that report. And they went out for that reason. Now, that is not actually the information, but you can kind of explore here if you want to see their inspections. You can actually go through and see what was done in their inspections as well, what was inspected at each time, and all of that right there. So here's an example of the inspection. And so you can search by date and find what was searched when and what violations occurred. So all that data goes into the system. But for this assignment, you're going to want to scroll all the way down to here. We're looking specifically at the deficiencies that were cited. Okay, so these are 22 items over the last 5 years, and you can choose anything within the last 5 years that they were cited for. I personally, for this assignment, would look at things that were weighted medium or high or related medium. The mediums and lows are usually like they forgot a signature. They didn't have, well, let's look. So their medium low was they did not have documented training for self-instruction 80%. And so one caregiver had all her training from the previous year, but it was all self-instruction. So they didn't have, that's pretty low. So 20% of her hours were supposed to be at least from an annually led instructor training, and she didn't have that. She only had it from online, basically computer programs. And so, but that is low risk to the children, right, is what they say that is. So that was a medium to low. They had no actually low. And so these medium and highs are the ones we're going to look at. Now you're going to choose 5. So they have 19 here. I'm just going to click the medium or high. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to choose 5. So if I choose this equipment prohibited for younger than 4-year-olds vertical slide poles, I probably wouldn't choose this one because they're probably similar. I want you to kind of think about finding 5 in 5 different areas, okay? So let's look at this one. Field trips, children identified with center. The church the children were to field trips did not have the operations telephone number. So that's a critical requirement, because if the child gets lost and they have their operation and we've got a 4-year-old who doesn't know the number, doesn't know who to call, it's on their shirt, right? So they can get connected easily to it. And so that's a simple fix. So you need to cite this, but then you also need to click over here for the narrative and really say, hey, this is what happened. Their shirts didn't identify. So you can see they have failed, they didn't have the required gas instruction. Let's look at this one. Installation, this one's pretty common. 6 inches or less, or 5 feet or less. They didn't have enough wood chips probably. So you wouldn't use this twice, right? So you'd probably use this one. You may then use this one. Let's see if we can find one. Doors to the restroom, employee restroom, that one. The craziest one that I've ever seen in one of these, let's see if I can find it. So this was the result of a report that was called in and found to be deficient. The restroom has locks on them and the caregivers are not in the restroom. So that basically means the restroom doors have locks on them and the caregivers are not in the restroom every time a child is in the restroom. So the child probably can lock themselves into the restroom, would be my guess. And so anyways, so you are going to list this. You're going to kind of give the background for the narrative. And then you're going to discuss how, as an administrator, would you correct this one. So if I was correcting that the restrooms, they're going to have to get their doorknobs replaced, right? The children should not be able to lock themselves into a restroom without the adult present to help them get out. So if it's an employee restroom that has to be locked, then children shouldn't be allowed in it. Or there needs to be at least that lock where you can easily push the pin through it to unlock it from the outside. There should be a quick and easy way to help a child who's locked inside get out of the restroom. And so you're going to list this standard, give me an explanation from the narrative, and then tell me, what would you do as the administrator to correct this deviation? Now, you guys cannot choose the child cares that I searched. So you need to go choose child cares that are not ones that you have. That's why it's purposely searched where I live, because it's not a city in our area. Let me see if I can find this other one. There is another one that might not be in here because they've gone out. Yeah, they have been removed. But they had the craziest one I'd ever seen, which was they had a narration where a child had crawled out a window onto the roof. So I was going to show you that. But this has not just the licensed child care home, the licensed centers, and the registered homes. The ones that are inspected regularly by licensing. Let me see if I can find anything. I wanted to show you this one. I don't think God's Garden would have it. Well, another common one that we find. Sorry, I'm trying to find one that this child cares aren't that great, unfortunately. Oh, here, it's probably in the high. So in the high, these are going to be things like responsibilities of caregiver, supervision of children. They did not have it. They had an infant asleep in the wrong place. Safety backgrounds not being done. Usually, a lot of times we will see critical illness or injury. Like here, this one's common. Responsibility of caregivers and supervision of children. This is going to be a lack of supervision. Was reviewed due to investigation that was found to be in non-compliance to staff, so provide the doing all activities. But so basically something happened, probably that caused, because we can't go back further than 27, that caused them to be under regulations. Oh, here's the one I was looking for. You'll often see this one. Responsibility of employees and caregivers demonstrating competency, good judgment, and self-control. A caregiver did not use good judgment when she was allowed 3 school-age children to go up to a room to clean up paint without confirming they were in the correct room. As a result, they ended up in a room without a caregiver presence. So that put the child in danger. They'll talk about how the director corrected it, right? The director met with the care ensured children are not allowed to be supervised. Children will no longer be around in a room without a caregiver. They usually requires you as an administrator to give additional training. It may require release of a student or of a thing, but sometimes you can see how they corrected them for those pieces. So this one you can see that the parent was not called even though for several hours, even though a child fell from over 2 feet and hurt their arm and was saying their arm hurt, but they never called the parent to say, hey, your kid's been injured. So that would probably be a policy change, right? If certain things happen and all that. So I want you to really, the focus is that you're going to choose the standard. Right? You're going to choose the standard. So you would copy this, just copy it right out. You're going to explain the narrative. You don't have to put exactly what was there, but summarize it. Then you're going to discuss below what would you do in response to the deficiency. How would you correct the deficiency? I just felt like this one needed a video to go over just to like clarify where you found things and things like that. So good luck. Have fun on the assignment.